Welcome to this week's episode of the Legal Hodgepodge, where we talk a whole lot about immigration and bankruptcy and a little bit about everything else. I am your host, attorney Evelyn Pabon Figueroa. Thank you for joining us. But before we start, I want to remind you that the information that we provide is only for information purposes and does not constitute legal advice. Today, we will be talking about a benefit that is available to victims of abuse, and we will also give you an update on the lawsuits that were filed against the states of Texas and Florida.
The Legal Hodgepodge.
Consider this scenario. You enter the country with a tourist visa, and you were supposed to stay for 6 months. You were touring the country, and you met a woman. You liked her, you started dating, you fell in love, and you could no longer see your life without her. So you overstayed, and you stayed beyond those 6 months that you were originally allowed to stay. You knew it was not right, but you couldn't be without her. After a few months, you start living together. Now things change a little bit. And she now starts yelling at you, and she calls you names. But you think that this is normal. You think that, this is the stress of living together. You get married. She wants to go on a honeymoon to Europe, but you can't leave the country because you don't have immigration documents. And if you leave, you won't be able to come back. So you stay local. She's not happy. Your marriage is not going very well. Now, she's not just yelling at you and calling you names. She's also throwing things at you. She's constantly checking your phone. She slaps you. And things are getting very difficult. But you tell yourself that once you get your paperwork and you can get a better job and you can travel, things are going to get better. But she doesn't file the paperwork. Instead, she's constantly threatening to call ICE on you. Finally, you realize that your marriage is not good and that you have to find a solution. So you go talk to a family law attorney. The attorney refers you to an immigration attorney. The immigration attorney hears your story, and she tells you about the Violence Against Women Act Self-Petition. But you're a man, you tell her. Your attorney says it doesn't matter. VAWA is still available for men. Your attorney helps you get your documents, and now you have a green card, and you can live permanently here in the U.S. The Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA, as it is commonly called, was passed by Congress in order to help victims of abuse. It is meant to help those that are the spouses or children of U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents, as well as the parents of U.S. citizens that are over the age of 21 who have been victims of abuse. VAWA allows them to file a petition for themselves and to eventually obtain a green card. In order to do this, the applicant must show that they suffered extreme abuse or cruelty at the hands of their relative, that they lived or are currently living with the relative, and that they are a person of good moral character. If you find yourself in this situation and you believe that you might qualify for VAWA, please first try to find a safe place and seek help, and then talk to an immigration attorney since you have options.
The Legal Hodgepodge.
On our last episode of the Legal Hodgepodge, we told you about the lawsuits that were filed against the states of Florida and Texas. Today, we will give you a little bit of an update. So the lawsuit against Florida is challenging that part of the immigration law that makes it a felony for anyone to bring someone into the state of Florida if that person entered the country without authorization. Now, just recently, the plaintiffs in this lawsuit, they filed a request for an injunction, and that is currently pending. If that is granted, what that will do is that while the lawsuit is pending, the state of Florida will not be able to enforce that part of the law. Now, in Texas, the lawsuit was filed actually by the federal government because the state of Texas placed some floating barriers in the middle of the Rio Grande River. So a judge last week told Texas that they had to remove those barriers from the middle of the Rio Grande River. Now, the judge did allow the state to keep the barriers on the riverbank on the side of the U.S. Now, of course, the governor of Texas already said that they will be appealing this decision because they want to keep the barriers in the middle of the Rio Grande River. We will continue to monitor these lawsuits, and as any developments take place, we will let you know here at the Legal Hodgepodge.
You can reach attorney Evelyn Pabon Figueroa at 407-874-5490, or you can email her at epabonfigueroa@pcc.law. You can also visit our website at privatecorporatecounsel.com. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Legal Hodgepodge.